Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, and I'm Dom Toretto's long lost ambiguous brother.
You might be, honestly, with the way this plays out. And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Today, me and Frank, we're here. We're just living our lives one podcast at a time, right? And of course, we're here to review the new movie, Fast X, Fast 10, the 10th installment in the Fast saga, the main saga, the 11th Fast and Furious movie overall. The Fast franchise is one of the most successful movie franchises of all time. It's grossed almost 7 billion at the box office, 7 billion with a B, making it
Wait,
yeah,
wait, what? 7 billion
the
with a B?
franchise, not the movie, just the
Oh, but
franchise.
what the
No,
fuck?
no, we'll get into the movie stuff. No, I'm saying the franchise in
Oh,
general.
okay.
Yeah. So the franchise, which of course is 11 movies, has grossed almost 7 billion at the box office, making it the seventh highest grossing film series of all time. Frank, can you guess what's the number one highest grossing film series? What do you think?
So before I answer that question, is
Yep.
this with like gross adjustment over time with money, like with economical?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think it's just flat out like whatever it made is whatever it made.
It
It's
has to be
not
Avengers, right?
well,
Marvel,
it's MCU. Yeah.
MCU. Okay.
So the MCU as a whole is number 1, Star Wars is number 2, Spider-Man by himself is number 3, Harry Potter and the Wizarding World is number 4, James Bond is number 5, The Avengers by themselves, only 4 movies, is number
Fucking,
6,
fucking
and then
crazy.
The Fast and Furious is number 7. Now, you might think, well, that's okay, but like The Fast and Furious is ahead of Batman by himself, is ahead of the
Superman.
DC, yeah, of course, way ahead of Superman. DCEU, ahead of X-Men, ahead of Jurassic Park, Lord of the Rings. So Fast and Furious is legit box office powerhouse. So let's get to the Fast 10 facts before we get into our thoughts about the movie. So release date May 19th, 2023. Box office to date, in less than a week, it's made 349 million with a budget though of 340 million. So the budget is one of the highest budgets ever for a movie. And you can understand why with what happens in the movie.
I mean, they blew up the
Uh,
Vatican, of course.
they they blow up everything. It's just a ring of fire. The whole world is a ring of fire. With a runtime of 2 hours and 21 minutes, it's directed by Louis Leterrier, who also directed The Incredible Hulk. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The Incredible Hulk is also a Universal project or product, with much like the Fast movies. So let's get to the cast real quick. Of course, it stars Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Chris Ludacris Bridges, John Cena, Nathalie Emmanuel, Jordana Brewster, Sun Kang, Scott Eastwood, Daniela Melchior, Alan Ritchson, Helen Mirren, Brie Larson, Rita Moreno, Jason Statham, Jason Momoa, and Charlize Theron. Frank, what are your overall thoughts of Fast 10?
So for the Watchers universe, man, for like a month, Justin had been like, I swear Justin was a
Yeah.
promoter of like this film franchise because he was every podcast, whether it's Succession or a random Marvel podcast we were
Yeah.
doing. He was like, "Hey man, May 19th is coming, Fast 10, gotta watch it. It's a great series." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, whatever." I mean, not and the last movie wasn't bad. I mean, I liked it, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I was kind of like Fast and the Furious fatigue, like kind of waiting for it to go to come to an end.
Yeah, I got you.
Bro, that feeling has gone away, and I want 10 more of these bad boys, dog. Like that, bro. The movie was stupendous, and like for me, I love action movies where like you have to like suspend belief.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love John Wick so much. Like bullets flying, motherfuckers doing backflips, getting shot 9 times, and fighting this evil assassin clan. It's just shit. Like I like movies where I can suspend belief and just live in the moment of like just a shit fuck of like just craziness, right? And like to think that the series started with like illegal car racing in LA to now these motherfuckers are like in espionage and like fighting global crime and like on the global most wanted top 10 list. Like it's had these different machinations of like of what they've been through, and to like now see like cars go out of space and cars fall out of airplanes now. It's just like what is next? And it's like the storyline is even crazier. And like for me, it's like with the action, I'm always drawn in with the action. But now, like I've gotten, it's kind of weird. Like I've gotten this connection with the characters now over the last few years, to where like I'm like every character for me means something. Like there's no minor characters for me. Like I love them all, and I think with the Devil Paul Walker, it really put things in perspective for me about like how close knit that group is. Because even when like they're not filming, they're always in contact with each other. There's always like inner beefs and fights and jokes and stuff. And I feel like I'm part of the family. So when I'm watching it, I feel like I've grown up with them. But this is what going on to what 22 years now since the
Yep.
first one came out. Like
2001 was the first one. Yeah.
yeah, 22 years, and I've literally grown up with them. You know, I was a teenager when the first one came out, so for the movie itself, man, I thought was wonderful. It was stupendous. There's so many surprises, man, in this film. Like it's like it gave me Infinity vibes. Everybody and their mama was in this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
and they're just adding to the budget of like, and these are not like minor stars are adding. These are like Academy Award nominees and
Yeah.
like people who have led other franchises themselves. Like to add all these actors in this film and for it to still flow and make sense and be good. Like this movie's 2.5 hours long and it didn't feel that way. That's hard to do. So stupid. I was crunk, man. I loved it, and I got something to say later on this show that it's not a prisoner moment because we spoke about it on Sunday,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still feel this way today. But go ahead, Jay.
Okay. Yeah. No, we'll get into that. But, you mentioned a little bit ago about how like you kind of feel like you're part of their family. And I have breaking news that, the reason why I've been so like, I've been promotional of this movie is because I'm actually now a part of the family. I joined the Fast family, as you can see here. Whoops. There I am. So you can't really see it, but you can create your own poster. So if you go to fastxfamily.com, you can create your own poster. You can join the family like I did right before this podcast. And yeah, I'm super excited to be a part of the family. I mean, I feel like, you know, I could maybe fill Brian's role, Brian O'Connor. I could be the new Brian O'Connor, like just, you
You look
know,
like you're taking it a quarter mile at a time. I respect that, man. I respect
yeah.
that.
So anyway, I saw that a little bit ago today, and I was like, I gotta like do something with this. I gotta post something. So anyway, check out fastxfamily.com, make your own poster. But as far as my thoughts on the movie, this movie is like all the rest of these movies. It's ridiculous. The action is over the top. It's insane, but it's also super fun and it's incredibly entertaining. And like you said, it was about a 2.5 hour movie. I laughed almost throughout the movie, and a lot of it's unintentional comedy. They're not meaning to make you laugh, but it's just so wild and crazy. I just have such a good time with these movies. And this one, I think, was really like I enjoyed Fast Nine for what it was, but this one was a big step up. And I think this, like, you're right. Like, I could watch 10 more of these. And I mean, they say, this was supposed to be part one of a part two finale. And now recently, Vin Diesel's come out and said that there might be three parts to it. So Fast X might be a trilogy to end the saga. And I kind of call bullshit on that. I think that they're just going to keep making these for the rest of our lives. And
They'll
ever
make
like
so
it,
much money.
I think that it's going to be fast forever. I don't see it slowing down. Honestly, if and I was going to pitch this later on, but like right now, they should cross over with I've said this before with Back to the Future, and they should do Fast to the Future and do like a time travel thing. Like Back to the Future is also a universal IP, so we could definitely see that. I love this franchise. I mean, it's not the best franchise. The MCU is the best franchise, I think. But this might be my favorite one. It's just the most fun. I had so much fun watching this movie. And, I've only seen it once. Frank, you've seen it. You've seen it twice?
Twice, yeah.
Seen it twice. Like, I don't know if I'll see it again in theaters, but I mean, whenever it's available on Max or, wherever it's going to be, I will watch this movie multiple times because this was an absolute blast. And, let's get into, I think, one of the main reasons why this movie was such a big step up for the franchise. Let's talk about some of the additions to the cast. And let's just start off with Jason Momoa playing the villain, Dante Reyes. To me, he was the absolute highlight of the movie Frank, what are your thoughts on Momoa as Dante Reyes?
So for me, in the hierarchy of bad guys and bad women I've seen over the last 20 years, he's number two. I got him right behind Thanos. Um,
Of
I'm
all movies.
the last 20
Of all
years,
movies, yeah.
yeah, last 20 years, I got him right behind Thanos, man. Because like for one, for me, like Jason Momoa is kind of like Keanu Reeves in a way where like he has the same diction, same monotone voice, same like behavior and mannerisms in every movie. And like seeing him in this movie, he had so much character and pizzazz and flair and like
Yeah.
sadisticness, but sociopathic, but
Yeah.
humorous. Like there's so many layers to which I didn't think that Momoa even possessed. I mean, I thought he was a good actor. I thought he was. I put Momoa in the same like genre of like Steven Seagal and like Arnold.
Oh, no, he's
Like
better than those guys.
no, well, I mean like as far as like they're just typecasted. They play the same
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Yeah.
butch, strong,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
immovable force. That
Yeah.
no, as far as acting, he's way better. But like, but he's typecasted, right? So
Right.
like
Right.
to see him as a bad guy, and then not only a bad guy, but a bad guy with personality. Dude, there was some serious moments where he killed people, and like I laughed, like
Yeah. Me
and
too.
I've never and I don't know if that was intentional, but he was so dynamic and so funny. The sadistic, funny nature made him more formidable as a character. Because
Yeah.
if you look at all the Fast and Furious bad guys in the past, whether it's Jason Statham and like whether it's I can't remember the guy's name in Fast Six, the English guy,
Oh, it's his brother. It's
his brother Shaw, not
Owen Shaw, and
Owen
then
Shaw. Okay,
Statham is Deckard Shaw. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So Owen Shaw and like his dad
That's
in
five.
Fast Five, like they all had like this monotone, like very like I don't understand family. I don't feel like that same type of vibe, right? So
Yeah.
like for him to come in with this whole different flair, he did a great job, man. Like, I watched it the second time because of him, because I felt like he stole the show in every scene he was in. Every scene, like the scene where like he's talking to himself and doing his nails, and like he has all these dead guys around him by the pool or whatever. Like that's a very serious scene because he's killing people, but like
Yeah.
he's like talking to himself in a humorous way, like he's in a salon. It was genius, and for him to push that off, man, and pull it off was just I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely like not. He was going against like the way he's usually cast. You're right. He was like very flamboyant. He dressed like I saw some people say he dressed like he was like Captain Jack Sparrow. Like it was kind of like he kind of had that kind of look. I mean, his had his outrageous clothes. He has hair like in pigtails and ponytails and all kinds of stuff. And he's painting his fingernails. And he's painting the fingernails of people that he's killed. Like he was just all over the place. He was kind of like the Joker in some ways. Like
Yeah,
Dom punches him in the face like 3 times, knocks out his tooth, and he just like laughs in his face. Like he's just like, I mean, it was just it was such a fun villain. And for Dom Toretto, who I've said before is like basically he's our Lord and Savior. Like he's the ultimate superhero. You had to have a great villain, to match them up. And I think Momoa definitely brought it. And something else about Momoa is he did his own stunts in this movie. So all that like motorcycle stuff in Rome, like that's him.
oh wow,
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I watched like about a 15-minute like making of the movie, and he's like doing all that stuff on the motorcycle. It's like this
oh, I
guy's
didn't know
like,
that.
yeah, he's a franchise actor for DC, obviously with Aquaman. And man, he's like going for it. But no,
Well,
he was super fun.
what's so impressive too, and I don't know if the movie did it on purpose, but like when the movie opens up and like he's in the police station, it's set from
Yeah,
Fast Five.
right.
He's buttoned up. He has a suit, hair, and a ponytail, very businesslike, very like this like business mob boss demeanor. And you see that, and then like you see him in current day, and he's the total opposite. So I don't know if like losing his father or like whatever he went through just put him in a very sociopathic dark path, but it's light years away from what he looked like in the beginning of the movie in that flashback.
Yeah, it's almost like the death of his father, who's Hernan Reyes from Fast Five, the drug lord in Fast Five. That set him on this like crazy path after his death. And they like the way they retconned him into the story from Fast Five. And like, first of all, bringing Fast Five back was really smart because Fast Five, I think, to me, it's the best Fast and Furious movie.
I
I think
agree.
it's widely considered the best one. And it's kind of the one where this franchise really took off. Like it really, like that's when The Rock joined the cast and like it really like exploded. So to bring that storyline back, and also like the scene with the stealing the bank vaults is such a cool scene. Like that's, I mean, how they did that is insane. But to bring him back, and then you see his kind of what happens to him, and he gets knocked off the road by the safe, knocked into the water, and that's how his like villain story begins. And then of course, Luke Hobbs, played by The Rock, then shoots his dad in Fast Five. So like he, not only did Dom steal his dad's money, but then also then Hobbs killed him, and so that now he's this crazy villain. And yeah, I just thought, man, he was just such a great part of this movie. And I think if he wasn't in this movie, I think it really would have been. It really would have been like maybe the death knell for the franchise. I think people would have been like, you're going to give us two more. Like, this could be the last one. But he breathed life into this franchise, and I really
Yeah.
can see him, sticking around for a little while. What's interesting is we've talked about this before, but all of the villains in these movies, they all end up becoming part of Dom's family in the end. So I'm really interested to see if and when Jason Momoa is at the barbecue drinking Corona. So what do you think about that? Do you think he'll eventually join the team if they go to like Fast 17 or something?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's two extremes, right? Either you join the family or you die. It's very is Dom's family is very mobbish.
Yeah.
Like, you either join or you die. There's no other way around it. I'm gonna say he's not gonna join. I think killing his pappy kind of changed the game for him. But
Right.
then again, initially when Deckard Shaw at the time killed Han, they weren't fucking with Shaw. Then like he became cool with them in Fast Seven. So it's like, oh, was that Fast Eight? I don't lost count now. So I mean, you can never say never, man. I mean, people come back from the dead now and all this shit. So you can never say never whether or not he joins his family.
Yeah, death in the Fast and Furious world is not forever, as we've kind of seen with I mean, almost every character has died or had amnesia or something. It's like it's
Bruh.
such a crazy storyline. Um, but before we move on off Momoa, I want to talk about what did you think about the scene in Rome where you know he's got the the rolling bomb. It's like a wrecking ball that's rolling through the city, destroying everything, and Dom is trying to like find a way to stop the bomb before it hits something and detonates and blows up the entire city.
I thought that shit was nuts. I think outside the vault scene in Fast Five, that scene was like top five as far as like crazy scenes. Like you have this atom bomb like structure just gallivanting through the Rome and gallivanting on in and out of these streets, and it's kind of like this bomb can go off at any time, and like Dom doesn't give a fuck. He's trying to stop it. Like, bro, this shit can level this whole city, and like you're trying to stop it. Like he's literally a hero, man. Because I don't know how I wouldn't have the balls to drive up against a bomb of that size, trying to slow it down. Um, but no, that was a great scene, and it, did everybody shoot that? Was that shot in Rome as well, like in real life, or
Yeah, they actually shot in Rome. They
that's
used like
crazy.
a they used a giant like green screen ball that they would like roll into stuff, and like they made it look pretty cool. Like even practically, it looked pretty cool. But
It looked legit.
yeah,
It looked legit. Yeah, like again, these movies they always unveil like some new thing I've never seen in the movie theater before. I've never seen that movie before. Like last movie was it was a fucking it was a Camaro out of space. Now
yeah,
this
the
movie a
Pontiac,
fucking
yeah,
yeah
yeah.
Pontiac Trans Am out of space. Now this movie like atom bomb going through the streets of Rome. It's crazy.
Yeah, they do things with the cars that are not humanly possible that you wouldn't even think to. Like if you're a little kid playing with your Hot Wheels, you wouldn't try to do the things they do in this movie. And that's part of the reason why I laugh at it because it's like so ridiculous that it's like but I'm not making fun of it. I legitimately love the franchise. It makes me laugh because it's so absurd, but it's so much fun. I
I
just
saw
really enjoy it.
something. a few years back. This is at Fast Seven. They had like accumulated all the numbers of like damages to cars from like Fast One and Fast Seven at that time. Dude, it was like it was what, $27 million in damages
Oh,
to
I bet it.
cars,
Oh, okay. But
to
still, hell,
just cars, nothing else, just cars, from like Fast One to Fast Seven at that time. So it's probably close to 100 million by now.
oh yeah, that's probably like lowballing it some because I mean, just think about how many cars they go through in every movie.
Yeah,
That's something
because
else that
Fast,
they always find a way to get more cars too.
yeah, because Fast Eight was one that was the one where the remote control, like when I think Charlize Theron had that had the remote control cars in London. She was like
Yep.
just crashing. So that was before Fast Eight. That was so I don't know how much money it is now that they destroyed and damages the cars, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're tearing up some cars, no doubt about that. One of the things I like about Momoa's character, I mean, one of his key things, and this is probably his main quote of the movie, is he says, "Never accept death when suffering is owed." That's basically his plan to get back at Dom is to, you took my dad, you took my family, and so I'm gonna like take yours away and torture you, and then after I've taken everybody away, I'm gonna kill you. So, I mean, it's a storyline that we've kind of seen in previous movies, but I think it was better executed in this movie
Mhm.
than, and obviously the movie ends on a cliffhanger, so we don't even know exactly where everybody stands at the end of this movie. But I thought, I think that part of it worked better for Momoa as opposed to like Jason Statham kind of had the same plan in Furious 7, because his brother is laid up, and so he's going to avenge his brother's near death. And I just think Momoa with Dante Reyes, it was just a better version of that.
Same with Owen. Same with Owen Shaw. Like
Yeah,
when Owen had Letty, when Letty lost her memory, like Owen was
yeah,
killing off people. He was killing off his own people at one point, and Letty was like, "How can you do this? This is your family." And like he's like, and I think Owen and Dom had a face off in London. He's like, "I don't understand this concept of family. It makes you weak and all this type of shit." Like it's the same theme with all these bad guys, but like yeah, like you said, Momoa pulled it off the best.
yeah. No, he was great. And then we have, let's get to another new character, is a character by the name of Ames, who's played by Alan Ritchson, who is he stars as Jack Reacher on the Reacher series on Amazon Prime. He's also been on Titans. He
Blue
played
Mountain State legend.
Yeah, he played Hawk. He was in Smallville. He was actually Aquaman in Smallville, so it's kind of funny you have two Aquaman teaming up because as the movie plays out, we learn that Ames has been working with Reyes or with Dante the whole time. What did you think about the twist at the end where Ames turned against Dom and I guess potentially maybe killed Tej and the whole crew that's on the plane?
Different surprise. I did not see that coming. I thought he would be another Luke Hobbs rehash of like after Brazil when like
Yeah,
the all the shooting happened in Brazil. I was like, okay, he's back in the CIA's good graces or the agency's good graces. So to see
yeah,
that was totally out of left field. Totally out of left field. Like just makes you wonder like how was a guy like that implanted not only in the agency but reaches to the highest pinnacle of the agency and becomes like the director. That's crazy. So I didn't see that coming. That was nuts. And I don't know, man. The way it ended, man, like I don't know how Dom and his son gets out of that. Like it looked pretty bleak.
yeah. Reyes basically has them. Reyes and Ames have him cornered where Dom's in his Charger. He's got little B, his son, with him, and Reyes has got it. They're on this dam, and he's got two remote control 18 wheelers on both sides. Like he's basically like boxed in. They drive toward his car. He drives off the side of the dam, goes down vertically down the slope, just rides it all the way, then flies out into the water.
Oh
And
no, he hits the nitro as the
yeah,
flames are
yeah, there you
in the
go.
back seat of
Yeah.
the car. He hits the nitro and like he escapes the flames. Like, bruh.
And that was stuff was in the trailer. I was surprised they gave that away in the trailer. Like that's the climactic scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And then of course Reyes also has the dam is like rigged with bombs. And so he's gonna blow that up too.
Yeah, just in case he didn't
Just a,
survive the remote trucks hitting each other.
it's so ridiculous. I mean, Dom never has a scratch on him. I mean, seriously, has he ever bled in one of these movies? Like maybe one of the first few, but
I don't know about he bled in the first one.
okay.
In Fast 7, when Dekashar like when Dekashar and him are fighting in the parking garage and the garage collapses,
Yeah,
he didn't bleed, but he's unconscious.
right.
And like lady had to like give him CPR or some shit. Other than that, he pretty much walks through these movies unscathed. Like he's literally like the Man of Steel.
Yeah, he's
That
invincible, and then he gets in his car and he's Superman because he's like jumping out of planes. This is like the second or third time he's done that. It's just like this time he didn't have a parachute. He's just jumping out of planes in his Charger. He's got helicopters that are like, have these like harpoons on his car. He like jumps off the freeway to where they crash together and collide and blow up. It's insane, but it's entertaining. I gotta hand it to him. I'm never bored in these movies. Never bored for a second.
but even with that, like how's he rebuilding the same black car in every movie? It gets
I know.
destroyed in every fucking movie. Like, think about it. In fact, what was the one where he's saving Nelly Manuel's character?
Seven.
They seven, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a seven.
Yeah.
They
Seven.
drive off the mountainside as
Yeah.
when like Decker Shaw's men have him cornered. They drive off the mountainside and he's hitting every tree and stump and rock down there, and the car is totally destroyed. This and then like he rebuilds the car, and then like in Fast 8 when he's a bad guy and like doing Cypher's bidding, that car crashed against like, every other car in London, and like it's like how are you rebuilding the same? I need a scene of you like building this car back, back from its frame.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't. It's just hard to believe that you have the same fucking car this whole damn time.
He must like own like a plant that just like produces like he's got 500 million of these and they're just like stashed everywhere around the world because that's something else in these movies. These movies are globe-trotting affairs. Like they're going from Rome to London to Rio to Portugal to
Abu
LA.
Dhabi.
Like yeah, like they're just crisscrossing the world like in 2 seconds. And
Yeah.
wherever they go, they can always find weapons and every kind of car imaginable. The coolest car you could possibly get. Like Roman has a gold Lamborghini in Rome, which is just like ridiculous.
It's
Like,
nuts. It's
but
fucking nuts.
yeah, it's just, I mean, they just, at some point you're like, well, what can they do next? Because they've already been to space. Like time travel is probably like the last thing they haven't done, but there's probably something else we haven't thought about. But they keep it going somehow, and I'm here for it. I sign me up for more. I'll watch every single one of them, and we'll do
Yeah.
podcasts about them for sure.
Oh no, I'm never stopping. This has restored my faith, and you made a good point, man, about like potential fatigue with the series, like how when The Rock came in Fast Five, it just rebooted the whole series because like I think
Yeah,
Vin Diesel left for 2 and 3. Four was he
yeah.
came back for 4, right?
He was in a post credit in 3.
Okay, and
Tokyo Drift.
3.
Yeah, he was like in
Okay,
like the very end, like one scene. Yeah.
okay, I didn't see 3. I never saw Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
But like it lost steam between 3 and 4, and then
Yeah.
Rock comes in, saves it, goes to 5, and then they start adding all these characters like Jason Statham and
Yeah.
all these popular people. And then like now, Momoa comes in. I mean, with few movies in from Paul Walker's death, but like you kind of feel like it was kind of slowing down a little bit, and then you bring in John Cena, and you bring in Jason Momoa, and it's just they know when it's like I don't know if it's luck, but they know what actor or actress to bring in to like like spice up the series again. And
Yeah.
Momoa is that person.
Yeah. He was the perfect choice. And I think originally they wanted to get Dave Batista, which I think that Momoa worked a lot better than
Way
Batista would
better.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, way better. I think Batista's a little bit too functional. I think he's too because even with his humor, like in Guardians, it's
Yeah.
still kind of like stiff. And
Yeah. Yeah.
more shows are more like flamboyant, flexible versatility in his comedy.
Yeah, I mean, really with Momoa with this casting, I can really see. There was talk about how so he's Aquaman still in the DC EU, and they're going to go to the DCU in a couple of years. And there was talks that maybe he was going to become Lobo because Lobo is like one of his favorite characters, and I could see him being Lobo after seeing the way he played. Lobo's like
Yeah,
kind
that
of a
was funny.
Superman. Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
a Superman. I mean, he's a bounty hunter, but he's kind of a Superman villain's friend, whatever.
yeah.
Um, I could really see him playing that role, and I think that role might be better than Aquaman is for him. I mean, he's great as
Ooh,
Aquaman,
the
but like,
ladies are gonna be upset at that choice.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't see why he couldn't do both. I don't. Is there tremendous crossover between Lobo and Aquaman? There probably isn't a whole lot of crossover, right?
They're not unless the Just League is involved, and then
Yeah,
like
unless
he
it's
is
like a major
like
battle. Like
magnificent. Yeah,
I feel like he could do both, but I think he's just better as a bad guy. I think that just it just works better for him. But
yeah.
no, he was great. But the other bad guy, like I said, was Alan Ritchson. And originally, the plan was for Ames to be Dante's brother, and they decided to change that. But
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how you swing it. I don't want any like Latino washing of whitewashing Latino characters.
well, I mean,
I mean, Momoa can pass. I mean, Momoa's Pacific Islander, but like it's kind of like
yeah.
I think with minorities, it's more acceptable with minorities than it is with a white character playing a minority.
Well, I feel
So
like after what happened in Fast 9 where you had John Cena as Dom's brother, Jacob, like I like John Cena a lot, and I think he's better in this movie than he was in Fast 9 because Fast 9 kind of isn't the kind of character John Cena plays. But it was just weird. Like, how would John Cena be Dom's brother? Like, and then like, how is Jordana Brewster? Like, if they all have the same mother and father, like, how is that even possible?
it doesn't make sense. Like the ambiguity with the like with like the race in this city is crazy. Because like in Fast 8, his cousin's Cuban. Like
Yeah, that's right.
in the beginning of the movie, they're racing each other, and like his cousin's in trouble, and then like his brother's white. Jordana's Caucasian, right?
I think so.
Then you have Jordana, and then
Yeah,
like the little D looked Cuban.
the little B. It's little because
I'm sorry.
Brian's his name. Yeah,
Oh, Lil Bron. Okay, Lil
yeah,
B. So
yeah,
Lil B looked like he looked very like Spaniard, like Cuban, like when he was a baby. You
yeah.
remember he was
You're right.
born,
Yeah,
and then he looks like he's Afro American now, like Afro Latino. Like it's like it's like it's like ethnicity fluid throughout this series, and it's kind of hard to like, and
yeah.
they never say what Dom
No.
ethnicity it is. They never say that. They never explain
Yeah,
it.
and I think that's on purpose. I think because I mean, like Vin Diesel himself, like you're kind of like, is he? I mean, like for Dom Toretto, is he Italian? Is he Hispanic? Like what? Like what's going
Because
on?
Toretto's not Hispanic at all.
No, it's more Italian, but
Yeah.
but it's just. But I think it's done on purpose because like Vin Diesel is kind of like I think he wants to portray himself as like he could be anybody or anything or like a that kind of deal. And obviously that also works well with these movies because these movies are very diverse. I mean, the cast of these
Yeah.
movies are like you get people of all colors, race, everything like that. So like I think you hit a lot of different spots where people are like, oh, I see somebody that looks like me. So people are more interested in it. So it's honestly it's working out well for them, but it is kind of ridiculous when you have these very white looking dudes who are now like brothers with these guys who they don't look like they'd be brothers with like no chance in hell. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
but yeah,
It's funny, man. It's but I think the action distracts you from like from all of
yeah,
that because
yeah. I mean, they're not spending a lot of time doing a lot of thinking about anything. They're just like blowing up cars and getting guns and stuff. And it's funny because like as you said in the first movie, they're just like street racers who steal DVD, TV player combo players or whatever VCR players. And
mm,
then, by like Fast 5 and 6, they're all like brilliant hackers, master car drivers. They're all mechanics. They're all like badass MMA fighters. They just they're superheroes. Like they
yeah.
don't ever die. Well, some of them die, but then the ones who do die come back. And it's just such a crazy story.
My one beef with the franchise post Fast 5 is that I wish they put more emphasis on how rich these motherfuckers are. Because remember, they knocked off
Yeah.
Reyes for like 100 million,
Yeah.
and I think they each came away with like what 11 million, something like that, 10 million.
Yeah. I think
Like
so.
we did, like and like they kind of touched on it in this movie with like the money being, confiscated by Reyes. But it's like,
Yeah.
I wish they put more emphasis on like how like affluent these people are now. Like, yeah, they're working with the CIA and the FBI and Interpol and all that, but they got bank. They got bank. So
Yeah, it's again, it's one of those things they don't want you to talk about. They just want to keep it going. Like,
yeah.
yeah, they last movie they stole $100 million. Now they're broke, or now they lost it all, or it was stolen, or like it's just another day. You shake the snow globe, and it's a different story, and we're just moving on.
All right.
So Ames is the new leader of the agency, which was led by Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody, we saw in Fast 9, he was like lost. Like he hasn't been. I don't think they said he was dead. I think he was captured or he's lost or something.
Hmm.
So in this movie, we get a new character played by or the new character's name is Tess. She's the daughter of Mr. Nobody, played by Brie Larson. What did you think about Brie Larson as Tess in this movie?
Look, I think this is unfair to me, man, because I feel like every time we talk about Brie Larson, I just talk about how much I don't like her acting.
Yeah,
I don't think that's fair.
I think we're in the same boat. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think that's fair for her. I mean, I'm sure she's a good actress. I think she's won an Oscar or she's been nominated for an Oscar. I don't know, but like,
I think she has. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like they didn't need her for this role. You could have hired a C plus actress or whatever, or B
yeah,
minus actor. Like I guess globally she's viewed as A minus actress or B plus actress, but like you didn't need her for this role. It was like you paid her all this money for like 4 or 5 lines. It wasn't like I see this character. I'm like, who would be great for this character? Brie Larson. Like I don't think like that role didn't call for her. You know what I'm saying? So like I was like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just It was kind of like
yeah,
3rd and 1, and I need a yard. Give it to my fullback. He's not. It got done. It got like she didn't fuck up the role, but it was like it didn't call for her. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So like
yeah,
it was all right. I think it was more of just. I think they cast her more for the name than the actual need for her to play that role. If that makes sense.
yeah. No, I
So
agree with you. It's they just like keep adding to this all star cast, but it's like
yeah,
like in the All Star game, there's only one ball. Not
yeah,
everybody can have the ball, and her character, while she does kind of advance the plot, you're right. You didn't need to have Brie Larson in this role. You could add some lesser known actress, give somebody like a chance to kind of like Nathalie Emmanuel, who I mean, obviously she was known for Game of Thrones before these movies, but
hmm
this has become she's been in this series since Fast 7. She's kind of become. I mean, she's kind of synonymous with this and Game of Thrones,
yeah.
whereas you know she could have just been a Game of Thrones person, but she's kind of continued her career with these movies. So, um, yeah, I think we're in agreement. I don't think she wasn't bad, uh, Brie Larson, but it just I don't know. It was kind of like
Yeah.
okay, like you just showed that you can cast somebody famous. So good job.
Now I will say this: she looked great. Like she looks she's in
Yeah,
phenomenal shape, and like she's I don't know if she was shooting this while she was shooting the Marvels, but like she looks like she's in great shape for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, the acting, I'm like, it was just like I guess for me, I need to go back and watch like the roles that she's critically acclaimed for,
mhm.
'cause I just don't see it. I don't see.
Yeah. I don't either. Maybe it's a serious role because like in these movies where she's like supposed to be like kind of funny and play an
Yeah,
action person, I don't think it works well for her.
yeah,
Maybe she'd be a better villain. Maybe that would
yeah,
be something too. Like
yeah,
not everybody's meant to, wear the white hat and be the Lone Ranger or the cowboy or whatever. Like sometimes you got to be the bad guy. I don't know.
yeah.
So in this movie, we got a very cool moment for for the wrestling fans out there. John Cena, he's saving little B and Mia because Mia is at one point in the movie she is keeping little B at the Toretto compound without her husband Brian. Of course, Paul Walker tragically died about 10 years ago, but he's not dead in the Fast universe. But they've kind of written him off, and they've kind of given him this like, well, he's keeping the kids, and um, Brian O'Connor and Mia, they have 2 kids, and so I guess he was off keeping those kids, but she's watching little B. The agency sends a group to or I guess it's Reyes people with the agency. They send a team to get Little B, and Cena intercepts them at the house. He saves Little B and Mia, and at one point, while he's on the second floor of the home, he gets the guy up in the fireman's carry, and then slams him, which is his move, the AA, the attitude adjustment. The guy goes through the floor, lands on the first floor. Frank, what did you think about John Cena busting out his trademark move in the movie?
Bro, I almost expected it because think about it. Every wrestler that's been in a movie,
Yeah,
I haven't seen Batista do it yet, but like every
right.
wrestler, Triple H did the pedigree and Blade Trinity.
Yeah,
I remember that.
yeah.
Rock did the rock bottom in F5 on
No,
Dom
Fury 7. Well, he may have done it in F5, but he did Fury 7 for sure, because I
to
rewatched
that
that movie last night.
to that real big dude.
Yeah, and they went through like glass, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think he did Fast Five too.
Okay, he probably did.
Yeah, and then Cena with the attitude adjustment in this movie, like it's almost like customary for them to do their move in a movie just to like tie in with the wrestling world and get the wrestling world all
Yeah.
crazy and stuff. It was dope though. I don't know how that guy survived. His back should have been shattered. Like he
Oh,
went through 2 floors, bro.
yeah.
Like, make no made no sense. And then like he has all this heavy ass gear on, so like
I
you think
know.
the weight of the gear would have just like crushed his spine. But that was a cool moment though.
Yeah,
Like I mean, to be in your early 40s, mid 40s, and still be in shape like that,
yeah,
no, the guy's not human, man.
yeah. And I think Cena, I think he was better in this movie than F9, just because he got to be John Cena. He got to
Yeah,
play like the lovable, kind of goofy, badass dude. And like, whereas in F9, he's the secret agent who's working, who has worked for Mr. Nobody, who's kind of working for Cypher, who's against Dom at the beginning. And that just never really worked well. And then of course by the end of the movie, he's a part of the family, and he's back in Dom's good graces. So I think this movie was a better use of John Cena.
I
And
agree.
yeah, and this movie, Cena spends most of his time with Little B, and they go all around the world like in 5 seconds, like the way they do in these movies. But at the end of the movie, or at Cena's end, he's driving a cannon car, which yeah, they have two giant cannons, one on each side of his car,
Yeah.
and they're just blowing people up. And the little kid's actually the trigger man. I liked how the kid's like just killing people and they're high fiving. What did you think about the cannon car and little B just taking out people? He's like 8, I guess, or I'm sure how old he is, but he can drive already. Of course, he's a Toretto, but
He's a fucking natural, man. Like he's like swerving over the streets at the beginning of the movie, and then like he's he climbs out of the back of that cannon car. The car's going like 80 miles an hour, and like his light ass, he should have flown off and became bird shit on somebody's windshield. But he's out there like just like messing with the missile or like the cannon launcher or whatever, just cool, calm, and collected, like his daddy, like his pappy.
yep,
Like
yep,
it's like it's just genetic, like this cool, calm superhero mode that he's in. Like, look, I wouldn't be surprised if they age him by like 7 or 8 years, and like he's like 15, and like he takes on the next era of this franchise as like the,
oh
the, the
yeah,
son of Dom, and like he becomes the lead. Because like this kid, he was just a newborn like three movies ago. He's already 8 now, so
well,
you
the
know
last movie he was like 3 or 4, maybe
yeah, real
5, like
young. He had long curly hair and
yeah,
like
right,
yeah. So it's just one of those things where like I loved it, and I loved how like because it's assumed that at the Fast Nine, John Cena's character kind of just went into the wind, and and like Dom hasn't seen him.
yep,
So for like Little B and like Cena's character to have such a close knit like uncle, like
yeah,
he's like
right,
he's saying like as if they hang out all the time, and like
I know,
they have this close knit. I'm like, bro, you didn't even know you had an uncle until the last movie. And I'm sure this had to be the first time you ever seen him. Like when because
gotta
he's on the run. He's on
yeah,
he's on the FBI list. So like
yeah.
that thought was kind of weird, like how they were so close on that trip. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about family. Everybody's got family. And I just think as you're talking about the kid, I was thinking, what NBC or Peacock or whatever should do is they should do a little like limited series about Little B, and I would call it Growing Up Fast.
Oh man,
Think about
dude,
that.
that was Cell. That was
That's
Cell.
yeah. So if anybody at Universal's watching, uh, I need my cut, but like
You should
you
write
can
the
you can
script to
have the
that,
name.
bro.
Yeah, I
You
should.
just
Yeah.
you should.
I bet by the next movie, even though him and his dad will just be like trying to survive in the water, he'll probably be like 17 or something. He'll he'll have
They've
aged 10 years like in that time period. Yeah.
they've been in the wild for like 10 years and shit, like trying to escape Reyes, and like he's like 17 and he's ready to take the mantle.
And then
That kid's growing.
eventually,
That
yeah,
kid's growing fucking fast, bro. I cannot get over how fast that kid is growing and how different shades he's gotten. He's gotten so dark over the last like 8 years now. It's crazy.
in Fast 25, he turns against Dom. How great would that be? And we find out he's not actually Dom's not actually the father. Would that be great? Like
It's like Tej. Let me stop, bro.
it's a,
Let me stop.
I mean, you know what? Honestly, we're laughing about this right now, but in 10 years, 75% of this is going to happen. Like
Oh, you already
it
know.
will. It will. Because they've got to. They got to keep this going somehow. And Little B is definitely the future. But again, one of the more ridiculous scenes is at the end when Little B gets so he's with Jacob. They're driving down the freeway. He gets abducted mid car, mid speed abduction by
Reyes.
Reyes, which I can't explain it because it's not real, but it happens. So so Jacob was being a Little B's protector. He loses Little B to Dante. Then, of course, Dom has to get Dante, or he has to get Little B back. And when he gets Little B back, Little B jumps from Reyes' car, which is moving very fast, to Dom's car, which is also moving very fast. I mean, and we've seen him do this before. We've seen him jump car to car, but like the little kid doing it was just like I just laughed. I was just laughing about as loud as and hard as possible. Frank, what's your take on that?
I don't. It's kind of like, you know what I need, man. Just to get closure, I need like a lab scene of like Dom Toretto's DNA being replicated and like super soldier serum. Because like there has to be an explanation why this kid is so fearless, so athletic, so
Right.
agile. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a natural feel of like physics and like aerodynamics and like how to jump from one car to another car and get kidnapped from one car. Like, come on, like, bro, no, you need to explain like him being like not the son of Dom, but a clone of Dom. He's just young, just a younger version, kind of
Oh,
like
that's
Gemini
good.
Man, like
That's
Gemini
good.
Man.
Yeah, that could be where this goes too. We could find out. Like I said, Fast 25, he turns against Dom. We learn he's a clone. The actual Little B is like in some like warehouse in Scandinavia or something, just hanging out. Um, yeah, I don't know, man.
It's wild. It's wild. Now, I will say this with Lil B. One of the heartwarming moments for me, it was very minor, but like in the beginning when they're having, I think they're about to have dinner or whatever, lunch or whatever,
Yeah,
and he calls Lady Mom,
right.
and like I thought that was kind of dope. That was
Yeah,
super
that was
dope.
nice. Yeah,
That was nice. So I don't know. I don't. I mean, they kind of touched it in Fast Nine about like who his real mother is. Like he's like like showing him a picture. I want to say to the 3-year-old version of Little B, but it's to see that was kind of dope. It kind of like answers the question on like the relationship between Letty and Lil B. So
yeah. And Little B's real mother is, or his biological mother is Elena, who started out on the franchise as the Rock's part or Luke Hobbs' partner.
that's Thor's
Then
wife.
right, Thor's yeah, it's Elsa Pataki, which is Chris Hemsworth's real life wife. So she started out with Hobbs as his partner. Then she hooked up with Dom, had the kid. Then Cypher had her killed midair, of course. Um, yeah. So and then also in this movie we meet Elena's sister, played by Daniela Melchior, who we've seen a lot of her recently. she was just in Guardians of the Galaxy. She had a part. She played Ura, the one who Chris Pratt. Star Lord's talking to the the person at that in that orange world or whatever.
Oh, that's
She's
her.
yeah, she's that person. Yeah, so she
Oh
was in that
snap!
movie. She was Ratcatcher #2 in the Suicide Squad movie. Came out a couple years ago. So,
How do you how do you
well, I mean,
how do
she
you
was a big
remember
character in that movie. That was like a bigger role. Like
that was her?
yeah, that's her. Yeah,
Fuck,
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
Okay.
So we find out in this movie that she's Elena. She's of course Elena's sister, and she's also a street racer. We see that. I love how like all these people they race cars. Like they're all family and they race cars. That's the common denominator.
Or if they don't race cars, they learn how to race cars at a high
Yeah,
level. Like Tej was like a mechanic.
right,
Or like no, he was the guy that said start him up and like had him
right.
racing shit, and then he became a mechanic, and he became like this computer whiz. Like they just go in and out of careers, man. It's like they're better than HTC, bro. It's better than CE. They just
They
get a certificate and become
yeah,
like this top graded like come be a cybersecurity guy for the agency or
right.
come be a
In 3
mechanic.
hours, yeah.
In 3 hours. Right.
Yeah, they're fast. They're moving through everything, just doing everything the fastest way possible.
Yeah.
But so we got Elena's sister in this movie, which you know, another like kind of like wow, like the cast you're kind it's kind of gets bloated. Like you got so many people, and they make it all work, but it's like if I had to explain to somebody who's never seen these movies the plot for these movies, I don't think I could do it. Or it'd take me like 3 hours because it's like this person was so and so's sister who then died, but then came back and is now his. Like it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too
It's
much.
and this is like 23 years of this shit. So like it's kind of like and they don't recast people for the most part. It's the same
No,
people.
no, it's the same people. I mean, in fairness, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The same people are getting work and they're keeping going. So
Like I feel like Tyrese and Ludacris have made so much money because I don't really see them in anything else as far as movies.
yeah,
I,
that's it.
I guess Tyrese was in the Transformer series and
Yeah, he
but like
was. Yeah,
but like they steady getting checks, man.
yeah.
So it's
It's
cool.
it's good work for him. One person who might not be getting to check the next movie is John Cena because at the trying to do a transition out of something. Um, John Cena's character Jacob, he after he loses Little B, as we mentioned before, Dom gets Little B back, but then like there's basically like a blockade. These cars are blocking Dom. Dom's trying to get away from Reyes, and Jacob uses his cannon car and sacrifices himself and just plows into 10 other cars that are like trying to block the road and huge explosion. Now, my question to you, Frank, do you think that Jacob is dead? Have we seen the last of Jacob Toretto?
Given the past of this movie with characters, I'm gonna say no. Initially, I thought that was a stupid scene, man. I'm like, and I kind of think I know why they did it, and um,
Yeah.
but like for me, it's like the gas line is has been cut. You have all these bombs on cannon bullets or whatever in the car. Why don't you just jump at the car and just press the button for it to fly into the blockade? You didn't have to be in the car. You didn't have to be like he's like it's at the end of the line. It wasn't like there was like a
Right.
cliff at the end of it was a
Right.
blockade of cars. Just
Right.
jump in the fucking car.
Yeah.
What time I've seen down jump out of cars, fly out of the air, flying off of bridges, flying off of whatever, and like he
Yeah.
lives. Like you couldn't do the same fucking thing. But
Little B just did it.
yeah, Lil B did it twice. Well, one he got snatched, but another one he did on
Right.
purpose. So and then like you're like an agent, like you like the super agent. So like I'm
Yeah.
sure you could have found a better way to like get out of that shit. But I think I know why they did it. So I can answer it
Tell
now. I
me.
can
No,
answer.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead and tell me. Yeah. 'Cause
Okay,
I'm not sure.
so in the post credit scene, we know the Rock is back. The
Yeah.
Rock is Luke Hobbs is back. The Rock and Cena don't like each other. There's been talk about for years of how they don't
Yeah.
really rock with each other. Like Cena has talked shit about him in the past, and vice versa. And I think with Hobbs coming back, I think that's why Cena's not gonna be there.
That's interesting because The Rock and Vin Diesel don't really get along either. That was like the main reason why it seemed like The Rock wasn't going to come back. And
Yeah.
The Rock coming back was a huge surprise. As you said, it's in the post-credit scene where he returns. And I honestly I knew about it going in because there was like this publication, The Wrap. They actually spoiled it like 10 days ago. So I
Oh,
saw that.
really?
Yeah, they spoiled it.
Stop
And I
digging for
know.
shit, Justin.
I
Goddamn.
wasn't. It just popped up. It was
Oh, it
like
just
right
popped
there.
up.
Yeah. No, it became a story to the fact that they like spoiled they spoiled something. Like it was, they put it out there like I guess they wanted to be the first to report it. And it's like, okay, you saw the movie before other people and you put it out there, but like that's not like a breaking news story. But anyway, it's a cool moment when The Rock comes back because, as I mentioned before, you know, Dom stole the money from Hernan Reyes in Fast Five, but it was actually Luke Hobbs, played by The Rock, who put 2 bullets in him and killed him. So so yeah, it definitely sets up that Fast 11 or whatever they're going to call this movie, Fast X Part 2 or whatever it's going to be called. Reyes, meaning Dante, is now going to be after Luke Hobbs also.
So, do you think part 1 of 11 is gonna be mostly about Hobbs, and then not gonna show Dom and those guys in that movie?
I think so. I think we're going to see, it's interesting because Hobbs and Shaw was the spinoff that came out in 2019. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to see a lot of Hobbs and Shaw in Fast 11 or whatever the next movie is
Okay.
because like the way Statham was set up is like he's now helping the group because his
His mom is in
mom,
trouble.
played by Helen Mirren, Queenie, she's helping the group. So she's like someone that they're after. And so to save his mom, he's going to have to help Dom, or he's helping Dom and the crew. So
Now, what I don't
yeah.
want, Justin, I don't want
Yeah.
another Hobbs and Shaw 11 part 1. I don't want that. I want other characters in the movie besides
Oh, I
Hobbs and
think we
Shaw.
will. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think it's going to be another Hobbs and Shaw movie, but I think we're going to see a lot of them in the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, who knows? Like with these movies, I mean, we're probably going to see everybody we saw in this movie in the next movie. It's just I think The Rock will have a bigger. It'll be more about his story with
Yeah.
Reyes chasing him. I would think, but I don't know. Like it's wild that The Rock came back because The Rock, less than a year ago, Vin Diesel on social media was like basically like seemingly begging and pleading for him to come back. And The Rock was like, "No, I'm not going to return."
You know what that means? They have been setting up for a while, and he probably got broken off financially too to come back.
Yeah, and also I wonder if because Black Adam didn't work out the way he wanted it to, I wonder if after that kind of failed, he then contacted the Fast people and said, "Hey, I want back in and let's shoot a post-credit scene because
That's a good
that
point.
that happens all the time."
Yeah.
And Black Adam came out in October, so that there's enough time for them to shoot one scene, which the scene that The Rock's in, there's not really anybody else in the scene with him. There's other people who are dressed in fatigues and have their face covered and stuff like that, but that could have been shot somewhere probably pretty simple. It was, somewhere in a soundstage or something. So
But I think the Rock is Dwayne comes off as a very bright guy. He's a businessman,
yeah,
and I think for him, it's beyond ego. And you've seen examples of that in his career. Like him and Cena had beef, but he went ahead and like Vince broke him off, but he came back for a 2-part WrestleMania against Cena for 2 years,
yeah,
back to back Aprils. So like he's shown in the past that I'm putting my ego aside. Let's make this bread. Let's go ahead and make this shit work and part
yeah.
our differences to the side. And I think with Vin Diesel pretty much being the executive producer of this series, 'cause I think if I remember correctly, I think the issue started in Fast Five with creative control. I want to say between Rock and Vin Diesel. And I know they gave Rock some producer credit as well, and for Fast Five, and I think they kept butting heads. And I think that's why he eventually left the series.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of weird stuff between them. They had like contractual deals where their characters, when they fight each other, like neither one of them could lose the fight on screen.
that's
I'm being serious.
wild.
Like that's how I guess how sensitive their egos are or whatever. They couldn't lose the fight. And so that's why I think in Fast 8, they're
Yeah.
both in the movie, but they never interact with each other. And if they do interact, their characters, it's it's like the stunt double of one of them interacting with like Dom, and then like it's like the Rock stunt double is the one who's in the scene with Dom or with Vin Diesel, and then vice versa. When the Rock's acting, it's Dom's stunt double.
Is that the one where when Vin Diesel turned to a bad guy for Cypher?
Yeah, yeah, he goes to
Okay.
work for Cypher. Yeah,
Okay.
so because that was the last Fast movie that I mean, the Rock was then in Hobbs and Shaw, but he wasn't in Fast 9,
hmm
and it seemed like he wasn't going to return. And
hmm
that's why I mean, that's why I think the post credit was really cool because I mean, of course, it was spoiled before me, but like before it was spoiled, I was like, "There's no way this guy's coming back," and then he did, and it's like, man, this is pretty cool. I mean, honestly, this is like what we want, and quite frankly, this is like honestly the Rock's best role. I think that like the Black Adam thing didn't work. I think he could definitely still be a part of a superhero universe, whether it's DC or Marvel, but I think he's good as an addition to a cast. I don't think you build the movie around him. You know what I mean? Like I think he's a huge star, but I think he works better as like an added ingredient, not the main course.
I sort of agree. I think it solely depends on the character he's playing.
Yeah.
Like I think that plays a big part because DC, their scripts are very bad. They don't write well. And um when I watch Black Adam, there's potential there,
Yeah.
but then like for example, Black Adam is the antichrist to Shazam. That should have been like a Shazam Black Adam movie to introduce Black Adam to the
Yeah.
DCEU and like make him this anti-hero type of deal on the outset, like starting off as a lead. I know we're getting off a little bit, but
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
cool.
say this I'm gonna say this and get back on Fast series. I feel like they should have used Black Adam's character as a jumping off point in a Shazam movie, and
Mhm.
introduce him as a villain in Shazam, and then you want to go back and make a solo series and like do an origin story that's cool, but then he's already solidified as okay. We know who he is. He's a villain of he's the villain for Shazam. Okay, let's give me more of this. What's his backstory? What's up with him? And I think they kind of fucked off with that when they try to give him his own solo movie with no backstory about who this guy even is.
Yeah. I think that was like partially his fault or mostly his fault because I think he wanted to have his own. I think he didn't want to deal with Shazam because he thought Shazam was goofy. Like he wanted to be built up on his own and then face Superman. That was like his plan. And it might have ended up working, but
But
it
he's
just
not a
like
Superman villain. That's the crazy thing. Like he's not.
yeah, he's not.
They don't
No.
really cross in the comic books.
I
They
mean,
cross.
they have like fought and stuff, but it's not like they're not known as like direct rivals. It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense because like Shazam. I mean Shazam and Black Adam. Neither one of those characters are well known enough where you can just throw them in against anybody. You know, like you
yeah.
got to kind of explain who they are and introduce them to the audience. And the introduction, like I thought the action in Black Adam was awesome. I thought
Oh
that's
yeah.
it was fun. Like, but the story was like it's okay, but it didn't connect. You know, like whereas like the one thing about the Fast movies, they make things connect. Like they'll retcon stuff until every character was in every movie somehow. They'll go back to the first one and like The Rock was working at one of those DVD stores or something where they stole. I mean, like they'll
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff just because they can and they don't care. They're just gonna do whatever is the best or most entertaining thing possible. So speaking of returns, The Rock wasn't the only return. We also got Giselle, played by Gal Gadot. She's back, which I predicted on my Fast 9 review. One of my predictions for Fast 10 was she'd be back, and she's back. And much like Han, who, Han died in 6,
He
7.
died.
I
So
mean,
apparently
he
he died in
died in
Tokyo
Tokyo
Drift,
Drift, but that
but he
was
died he died
yeah,
at the end of six, and it was
right.
one of the post credit scenes where that's when Decker Shaw shows up.
Yeah. Or no, that was or was
I
it
mean, sorry,
7?
only yeah, Decker Shaw.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But then
because they're in Tokyo.
because she died in 6 also.
She did. Yeah, she died at the end of
Yeah,
six
right.
the runway scene.
Yeah.
She falls off the plane. Don't know how she survived that shit.
Yeah, I don't either. And that's
Because it
my
would have been
question.
assumed. It would have been assumed after fighting Owen at that point that they wanted to go recover the body. You would think so off the
Yeah,
runway.
right.
so,
Exactly. Right. Right. Like,
so I don't know how you explain that.
good point. And now, not only is she back amongst the living, but she's working for Cypher of all people, and she's in the submarine from Fast 8. She emerges from the there. So to set it up, so now Letty and Cypher are in Antarctica because Cypher she basically lost her men to Reyes, who like double crossed her. So now she's has to team up with Letty, and they go to this prison. Then they both get injured. They're like in this like I don't know, this like futuristic like health bay or whatever. And then they fight each other because they hate each other, of course. But then they have to team up and they find out they're in Antarctica. They're at this agency black site or whatever. They're walking in the snow. All of a sudden, a submarine emerges or submerges or whatever out of the water, and the top comes off, and Gal Gadot's Giselle is back. And I don't know how they explain like why is she working for Cypher of all people.
So I have two theories.
Okay.
This is probably the more, I don't say believable, but believable for Fast, right? That Cypher recovered her body and has some type of generation chamber to where
Reanimated her.
yeah, because like you remember in like in the movie, um Tess stabs Letty, right?
Right.
And like the next scene, she's on the table, and this tissue refabricator like pretty much healed a wound instantly.
Right. Oh, there you go.
So
There you go.
so
Yeah.
it makes me wonder like why did they show that scene? What was the point of even stabbing her? Like I feel like there could have been another way to like get out of there rather than stabbing her. Like I feel like you didn't have to stab her to like create a diversion, but I feel like they
Right.
did that to like kind of show you that
To
hey,
show.
in this world we have tissue regenerators where we can like regenerate tissue and fabricate this and like regrow limbs possibly, and it makes me wonder if like because Owen, if I remember correctly, Owen and Decker both worked to Cypher at one point. So
Right.
it wouldn't be too far out of the realm that Cypher had been in the scene, had been behind the scenes since Fast Six. So
Yeah.
she probably maybe they had some type of like regeneration chamber to where they regenerated her, and we thought she died, well she should have, but maybe they found her on life support or whatever. But then again, you have to explain the crew was at was there. You would think they would have recovered the body unless they went to the graves. I don't fucking know, man. It's just. And then my second theory is that she's not Giselle, she's a twin sister or some shit.
Oh, that's a good one too. Those are great. No, Frank, those are great, man. Both of those are great. The part about the regeneration thing, like that makes total sense because you're right. I forgot about how I mean, I didn't forget that she got stabbed, but I forgot about how they show this machine that just like shoots a laser on her skin and then the stab wound is gone. I
Totally
forgot
gone.
about that. So
Yeah.
wow, those are both really good theories. Either she's a twin or the regeneration thing. That's crazy. Man.
Cause like there's only one other instance where I saw a regeneration thing was when Age of Ultron, when Hawkeye gets badly injured and like he's taken back to the compound, and like I can't remember the Asian scientist's name, but like she's creating tissue
Okay.
on that Fab Lab thing to get Hawkeye's leg back okay. And like she's like explaining it to Black Widow about how he's gonna be okay and stuff. And then he says, "Oh, I'm gonna live forever" or whatever, and things
Yeah.
of that nature. So look, man, we done seen ghosts come back from the past. We done seen cars go out of in orbit around the moon and shit. It wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Cypher had, because it's shown like Cypher had God's eye, and she has all this tech
Yeah.
that Reyes stole. So I wouldn't be surprised if she has something like that in her in her garage.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. That's awesome. I didn't I didn't put that together, but yeah, that's very likely what is going to happen. I'll be interested to see what happens when Giselle's, and Han are reunited.
And they better accurately explain why the fuck Giselle's been gone for this long, and while all this is going on, she's been under the radar. Like,
Yeah.
bruh, you better explain this because we've seen Cypher in now 3 movies now. Like, you better explain what she's been doing throughout this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, because she could have been in Fast 8.
Yeah,
That was the big Cypher movie was Fast 8. So,
yeah.
especially where the submarine was in Antarctica. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. You just wonder, like, is anybody really dead for good in this franchise? And I think maybe Jacob might be, just because there's not too many movies left. So like it would make sense to have a death actually stick this late in the game, but he could be in the opening scene of the next movie, and I wouldn't bat an eye, honestly. Like, I'd be like, "Yep, it's fast, so anything's possible." So, what did you think about? So Ames with a rocket launcher or a bazooka or a missile launcher, whatever, he shoots down the plane that has Tej and Roman and Han and Ramsey, and as he shoots them down, the plane passes like behind a mountain, so we see an explosion, but we don't see the thing explode in the air. There's no way they're dead, right?
No,
Yeah,
I don't think. I mean, with the rhythm of these movies, they're not gonna kill off 4 characters like that of that magnitude in one missile in one shot. I don't believe that. If this is Game of Thrones, I would have believed it, but this is not. Gangs of London, I can see that, but like a movie like this, they're not gonna kill off 4 major characters like that. Not
yeah.
not not in one shot like that. Nah.
But with that happening, and then with Jacob sacrificing himself a little bit before, I can understand why people are saying that this movie is like the Infinity War version for the Fast Saga, because you do lose characters,
Yeah.
maybe not for long, but you definitely people are taken off the board. So yeah, I think those characters will return, but probably not in a portal. Like, it won't be like a Doctor Strange thing. I don't think we're gonna see them like an Endgame where you know they show up or something, on
It's
your left or whatever.
it's one of those things, man, where like as crazy as this series has gotten, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a multiverse version of like Dom in another universe or another, and like Dom's a bad guy in another multiverse, and like Taz is a woman, and like I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised. Like there's been so much topsy turvy turns in these series, man. It's I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point.
Yeah, they really it's
For real.
literally everything's on the table. Anything is possible with the Fast franchise, no doubt about that. So, a couple other people that were kind of cameo in this movie I thought was kind of interesting. Pete Davidson, who I guess is like in everything now. He was in this movie. He also had like a cameo in Guardians 3. Um, he's just getting work left and right. So,
I've
good
never
for him.
seen I've never seen an actor who is known for his dick and for fucking get so many cameos in so many movies. Like that's what he's known for. Like
Yeah.
nobody,
I mean, he's a
bro.
comedian also, but yeah.
No, I mean you're right. He
But
is a
yeah, but
comedian
what
by
he's known,
trade,
yeah, yeah.
but nobody ever says, "Man, bro, I don't know, man." Chappelle, Hart, Davidson, my Mount Rushmore. Like nobody ever says that. Like I hear more about Pete Davidson's dick than his comedy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't know, like, and he gets a lot of pub. I know he's on SNL. He does a great job, but
No,
like,
he's not on SNL anymore. He left.
oh, he left too. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So like, it's always like the crazy shit, like him dating a Kardashian or dating Ariana Grande or drug use. I know him for everything else but comedy
But what he
and
does, yeah.
acting. So yeah,
Well, he's got a cameo in this movie. So, and also we see Paul Walker's daughter. She has a cameo. She plays the flight attendant who helps Jacob and Little B on the airplane.
that's Paul Walker's daughter.
Yeah.
Did
Her name
not
is
know that.
Meadow Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember she was a little kid when Paul passed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been almost 10 years. You're right.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
a grown woman now. Wow.
Yeah. And speaking of Paul Walker, we do see him in this movie from all the, shots from Fast Five, and they show some other stuff throughout the movie of like previous movies. So they still keep him in the movie. That leads me to this question. The character is still alive in this universe. Do you think we're gonna see a CGI version of Paul Walker return or Brian O'Connor return?
I don't think so. It's so difficult, right? Like in Fast in Fast 7, that's the movie he shot. He didn't shoot all that movie there. I think
No.
his brothers
Yeah.
came in like stood in and like with stunt doubles and stuff.
Mhm.
But even the CGI in that movie, like the parting shot of them going their separate ways, that was so difficult to shoot. It looked so
Yeah.
odd, right? Like I don't see how you can do that again
Mhm.
7, 8 years removed from his passing. Because like at least with that movie, you still had remnants of like shots that of Paul in that movie that you could have used.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could do that now with because he's been dead. And I don't know what you could use as a frame of reference for a CG shot unless it's like another part in the shot of him driving away or like
Mhm.
back of his head, in a car or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that would be kind of tough.
I mean, they could do like what Star Wars has done with Luke Skywalker, where they have a person stand in and then they have like a green screen. The guy wears like a green screen mask, and then they've de-aged Mark Hamill, who was Luke Skywalker. They've de-aged him to where he's the age that he would be at a certain point in the story. They could do that.
Oh,
And then with Paul Walker, like he did so many of these movies that they have a lot of footage of him. Now, obviously, they don't have him saying every single word ever. And, like people change over time. So, but I think they could maybe make a CGI version of him. I think it's more of a question of like, like should they? Because I feel like we're gonna see that character, even if it's just like a one more wave goodbye or something, because they still
it's
reference him. They still mention him from time to time, but then also it doesn't make sense whenever like they're all like in these like, you know, life or death situations, and
he's not
he
there.
doesn't come to help them and doesn't come to save the day, which is what he would have done, or
Yeah.
he would have tried. So it's
Well,
such a weird, messy situation.
what's weird too, what makes it more difficult too is that so Fast 7, so shooting past Fast 7, he passed.
Yeah.
Fast 8, that's when Dom is working with Cypher.
Yeah.
In that movie, there's a scene where they say, "Hey, let's call Brian
Mhm.
and Mia," and he's like, "No." I think the lady says, "No, we're not going to bother them. We
Right.
promise to leave them alone." And
Yeah.
I think what made the series more difficult and kind of like not make much sense is that when they brought Mia back, and I get it, like she's a good actress,
Yeah.
she's
Part of the story, part of the
part of the
family.
story,
Yeah.
but like I think that made it kind of like unbelievable for her to come back
Right.
and she's fighting and like
Right.
Brian's at home with the kids and like Brian and Dom are like this, the best friends, and like Brian will literally die for Dom. Like
Yeah.
there's been times where like both guys have tried to sacrifice each other themselves for the other person,
Mm.
and to like say for the story's sake that Brian's just cool will playing dad at home and like why his wife is fighting the world with his brother-in-law and like it didn't make sense to bring Mia back from that standpoint. I get
Yeah.
why, because like she's an actress, she needs to make money, it's a job, but like for the story purposes, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just wonder, like, to me, they keep referencing him, and it's like, but then when he references him, then you just make the audience go, "Well, why isn't he here?"
Yeah.
Like if he's so they've got to kind of figure that out, and I do feel like we're gonna see the character again in some way. I don't think you're gonna have a full on like CGI character the whole movie, but I do think we're gonna see him for a scene or a shot or something, just because they kind of have to. Because like in Fast Nine, the way Fast Nine ends, they're at the barbecue at the house. They leave a spot of the table open, and you see his blue car come down the street, park in the driveway, and then he opens the door, but they don't show him.
So
So
here's my question: do you think it would be tasteless for the last couple movies to like recast Brian's character? I mean,
yeah, I don't, I
recast
don't,
Brian?
I don't think they would do that. I think they would not make the movies over that. I think that I don't think that anybody would sign up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think no, they wouldn't do that.
Has there ever been a case in TV history or movie history where a person has died and like they just brought in the person to play that person? Has
Well,
that
I
ever
mean,
happened?
like like what's like Spartacus? Remember that show?
Yeah, but wasn't that a brand new series though? A brand new version that came out?
No, no, it was the
That
same.
was the same.
Remember the guy who played Spartacus the first season of that Stars series? He died. He had
Yeah,
some form of
lymphoma, right?
cancer. Yeah, he
Yeah, he had
died
lymphoma.
after the first season. So the second season they did like kind of a prequel series. But then when the next season picked up, the next two seasons were the Spartacus going forward, and they recast it with a new actor.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's been other times in TV history. With movies, I can't think of anything right away, but I'm sure there's been times where that's happened. But I
Yeah.
feel like with this, I don't think you could do that.
Yeah.
Like, had Paul Walker died after the first movie or the first couple movies, then maybe you could have done it. It's okay. But at this
Yeah.
point,
You're so invested
his
as fan
yeah,
as a fan base.
his face is like everywhere in these movies. They're showing like pictures of him and stuff. Like, I just don't think they would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does create a weird situation with that character because the character is still alive in the universe, even though the actor isn't. So um, it's kind of a problem they have. But I mean, they do a decent job of working around it. But to me, it's like I think
Yeah.
they should just kind of retire him and just not mention him. But then you're right. If they retire him, they've kind of got to retire Mia also because it doesn't make sense for her to be so involved in these life or death situations and he's not involved at all.
The only other example I can is kind of different is with Black Panther with Chadwick, but
Yeah,
but with Chadwick, they're pretty much gonna make his son like it's his
right,
namesake.
right.
So it's kind of different in a way. He's not replacing him. It's just another. He's a junior for the most
Yeah,
part.
right.
So but yeah, but I can't think of a time in movie history where a character has passed, or in a series where a character has passed, and they just totally like just brought in a new actor to play that character. I can't think of anything on top of my head.
Yeah, me either. I know there's probably some out there, but yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I'll just say that it's pretty rare, especially with a franchise like this long. Like you just wouldn't. I mean, if it's a character who wears a mask, like if someone played Batman for a long time and then that person died, they could get away with it much easier because you're just putting on a mask and then you can kind of anybody could be Batman potentially. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, what as we're kind of wrapping this up here, what were some moments that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I want to talk about. I want to talk about the well we kind of touched on it, but like Helena's sister
Mhm.
of why they brought why did they bring her back? Why did they bring her into the fold? What is I want to know what is the connection with that? Like, is it does that mean something going forward? Is she gonna be in the last remaining movies? It just for me it just seems kind of weird to bring in a character this late into the game. If
Mhm.
you're gonna end it, like what's the connection with her and Helena's character? Like I kind of want to know what that's about.
Yeah, I think it's just the just expanding the family because
The family.
this is Elena's sister, and so now it's like everybody who's in the family has siblings or other people in their family, and now those members of those families are now part of Dom's family, and that's
Mm,
I you know I feel like she'll probably be in the next movie, but I don't know. I don't think I mean she didn't have a huge role in this movie. It was mainly her like to kind of give us like this is Elena's sister, but then also she helped out Tess. She took Tess to the hospital at the end of the movie and I guess potentially saved her life. So those characters are kind of paired off. It's at the end of the movie you have Dom and Little B and they're kind of off on their own. Of course, you have the plane that has Tej and Roman and Han and Ramsey. They're kind of on their own. So all the characters are kind of spread out. It was just kind of giving them, I guess, more characters to spread across the world.
gotcha. And my next question. Now we know that Reyes is going after everybody that's ever helped Dom in any of the movies last 20 something years.
Yeah.
My question now with Queenie, with Deckard and Owen's mother now being targeted, do we get an Owen Shaw appearance? Do we get the sister appearance? You think in the next movie?
That's interesting. I kind of forgot about the sister, but yeah, she was a big part of Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
she's also an agent. So
yeah, yeah, that too. I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense for all those characters to be involved, and they
yeah.
very well could be. I mean, there was talk for a while that they were going to make a Hobbs and Shaw sequel, but I feel like that's probably not going to happen because, like, while it's a spin-off movie, it's still like within that storyline. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you can't, like, yeah, like, I guess if like Dom and them wrapped up the storyline, you could continue with The Rock and Statham as Hobbs and Shaw, and they could continue doing whatever they're doing. But it's still like, it's still so in the middle of the story that I don't really see the need for a sequel. And I feel like we probably will see those characters from Hobbs and Shaw play a big role in Fast 11 or Furious 11 or whatever they're going to call the next movie.
I just don't know. I just don't know if those characters are strong enough to have another movie together. I think about this,
Yeah.
like when they promoted this movie, like they promoted Idris Elba, they promoted Rock, Jason
Yeah.
Statham. Like the billing was there. Hernan Mirren. Like,
Yeah.
but when the movie came out and I watched like 2 or 3 times. I was just like, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
I didn't. It was just okay. It wasn't like I didn't get the same vibe as I did with the Fast and Furious, the actual main universe. I don't know. I don't know if it was a script or it's just that those characters aren't really that compelling. Like I don't know. I don't know if it does. If they do a sequel, if it would do any better. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think with the Fast stuff, I think you kind of need all the characters. Like they
Yeah.
all kind of play their role. And while there might be something you like better than others, if you take those other characters away, it doesn't feel the same. And I like Hobbs and Shaw quite a bit. Like I think it's kind of middle of the pack as far as the Fast movies, but you're right. Like it didn't feel like a full like Fast movie because it wasn't. So
Yeah.
it would make much more sense if they all came back and were a part of Fast 11, and it seems like that's where they're going to. That's to me, that's why they probably are going to do two more because the next movie will be solely or not solely, but it'll be mainly focused on The Rock and the Shaw family dealing with Reyes, where Dom and them will still be out there. We'll still get to see them, but their part of the story probably won't conclude until part three because obviously Dom's going to get he'll save the day and save the world and whatever, but that
So
won't come until part three.
does Part 11 come out next year as well?
I think it's 2025.
Okay. Fast
Yeah,
9 came out. When did Fast 9 come out? Was that 2 years ago?
2021. Yeah,
See, it seemed like it just can't. I guess
yeah.
time's going by fast. 'Cause I feel like
Time has
Fast 9
yeah.
just came out.
No, well, it came out like it was like in July of 2021, so it was like it hasn't even been 2 full years
Okay,
since Fast 9 came out. But remember, Fast 9 was supposed to come out like in 2020, but was delayed because of the pandemic.
that's
So
true.
that
Yeah,
movie was made in 2018 or 2019. So it was kind of in the can for a while, and they were just waiting, to when they could release it to try to make the most money. So,
yeah.
yeah. So speaking of that, this is probably a good time to transition to. I did some fast rankings. I did my fast rankings, and Frank, I want you to take a look at them,
Let's get it.
see what you think about them. So here's how I rank the Fast movies. I've got Fast 5 number 1. I've got Fast and Furious 6 as number 2. I've got Furious 7 as my number 3 movie. I have this one, Fast X, Fast 10 at number 4. For number 5, I'm going to old school with the Fast and the Furious, the original one. Number 6, I have Hobbs and Shaw. Number 7, I have F9. Number 8, I have Fast and Furious, which was the fourth movie in the series. In the ninth spot, I have F8, which is Fate of the Furious. Number 10, I have Too Fast, Too Furious, and number 11, I have Tokyo Drift. What I mean, you said you haven't seen Tokyo Drift, but the other 10,
Yeah.
how do you kind of rank them?
So we're in agreement. I got Fast 5 number 1.
Yep.
Um, is that Fast 6 number 2? Is that Fast 6 right
Yeah,
there?
Fast is number 2. Yep.
Okay, so I have the Fate of the Furious 2, Fast 6 3,
Okay.
Fast 7 4,
Mhm.
the New Fast
It's
Part
5.
5.
Okay.
I mean, the New Fast Furious 5.
Mhm.
Um, Fast Six. No, I'm sorry. Was that's Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
I got Too Fast, I got no, I got Fast and Furious 6, the first one.
Mhm.
I got Too Fast. Well, no, I'm sorry. The Fast and Furious 6, Fast and Furious 7, um, Too Fast 8, Fast 9, 9, Hobbs and Shaw 10,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen Tokyo Drift,
Tokyo
so I'll
Drift.
put that
Yeah.
last. Yeah,
But I mean, you kind of have an idea of Tokyo Drift because it comes into play in the other movies, and
yeah,
really, like with these movies since Fast Five, they're all it's really hard to remember
yeah.
what happened in which movie. Like I think Fast Five is I can remember that one pretty well, but then after that, to me, 6 and 7 kind of overlap, and then like there's parts of 8 that kind of overlap with 9 in my head. It's kind of hard to remember all this stuff because it's
I remember them by cover. So when I
yeah,
see, so
yeah,
Fast Six is London. That's when they're fighting in London, and
yeah,
they're trying the Owen Shaw. Fast Seven, that's Decker Shaw. That's L.A. and Abu Dhabi and all of that. Fast Eight is Dom Goes Rogue. Um, and then that's how I remember it based on the cover. I can remember the plot by looking at that. 'Cause I know Paul passes away in 7, so
yeah,
8 and 9 are like very concrete because he's not in those. So I remember those very very well because they're recent too. So
yeah. But to me,
Fast Four
like
I don't remember at all. I don't remember. Is that when Letty dies? Or we thought she died?
yeah, yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, because remember Fast Four, Dom is like sent to prison. They have to break him out.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then that's when I think Giselle debuts in Fast Four as like the bad guy's like
right.
girlfriend or whatever. And I think Letty dies in that one. I want to say,
Yeah,
I,
we think she dies,
yeah.
but
And
then
then
yeah,
Fast Five, you get the post credit scene of Letty still being alive.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
That's what happens. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really unless you've like watched these movies recently, but to me, except for the first 3 movies, they're all kind of their own story. Like the first one obviously is the beginning of it all. They're just street racers who now are stealing, VCRs or DVD players. The second one is Too Fast, Too Furious. Like it doesn't have Vin Diesel, so that's one reason why it's kind of stands out on its own. And then the third one is Tokyo Drift. They're in Tokyo. You don't have Paul Walker in this movie, and Vin Diesel's only in a post credit scene. So those 3 movies are always like out there by themselves, whereas the rest of them are kind of this like mismatch of Fast and Furious goodness. So
yeah,
anyway, I
yeah.
enjoy these movies, and I like even though I had Tokyo Drift ranked number 11, I don't think any of these movies are bad. I enjoy all these movies. I think they're all entertaining in their own way, and I have a good time watching them. And I've watched many of them several times, and I don't really get tired of them, to be honest.
I want to say this real quick before we go.
Yeah,
So I watched it last weekend and I was prisoner of the moment. I told myself I'm gonna wait 5 days
yeah,
and see if I still feel this way. And um, if they land this ending right, if there's a finality to this,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Like the actual,
if is very big word
yeah,
because yeah,
if,
who
yeah,
knows? Yeah,
right, yeah. I mean, now, I mean, I think you said it was 2 part. Now it might be a 3-parter.
I mean it's not confirmed, but it sounds like it's going to be at least 2 more movies.
If
So
if it isn't mentioned in it, he's pretty much the boss. He's gonna make it
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
But I think for it to stick, like you got to make this a series of like Reyes being around. It can't be one of those things where Reyes gets killed next movie and like no, we need to like he needs
yeah,
to stick as a bad guy and he needs to create a lot of damage. We need to see death. Like death has to happen. Like death that's final. And I think for this ending for this series, I think Dom needs to die. I think like kind of like with Tony in Endgame, like there needs to be an Endgame factor to all of this. Like like this whole thing about family and togetherness and everybody's in unison. The head of the snake, there needs to be like uh an ending to a arc. I think like like Tony Soprano, Tony Stark, like these are things where I think you bring finality to a role and to a series
mhm,
when like you can win, but within that win, a loss occurs. And I think if they do it right, that could be it could be as memorable as Endgame because, like you said, these movies make so much money. Would you say $7 billion, right? Is that what you said
Yeah, combined so
overall?
far. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's a global phenomenon. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous, but like I don't think it's not too far fetched to say that it's in like the universe of Marvel. Like they run to these movies to make 300 million a weekend post COVID is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And I think
Yep.
if they hit it right with these last couple movies, it could be one of those movies. It could be one of those things in history where it's like you never forget where you was at when this happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'll never
potentially.
forget where I was at when Tony died. I'll never forget. I'll never forget what happened when Thanos snapped his fingers and like half the world went gone. It could be part of movie lore if they stick this ending right.
Yeah, killing Dom would be a bold move. I mean, like, and it'd be very dramatic, honestly. And I think that'd be a good way to end it, honestly. I just don't know that he's gonna want to do that because like he doesn't even want to lose fights. Like, like and you never like I said, we never see him hurt or bleeding. Like he does all these crazy so it's like I guess my question would be how if he were gonna die, how do you kill Dom Toretto?
Man,
You'd have to take apart his family, right? And then like
yeah,
but then
it has to
that might
be.
make him stronger because then he would like have the powers of his family, like he'd be like avenging them. I don't know. I
It
just
has
don't think he can kill the guy, honestly.
it has to be one of those things where like Reyes and him have this one final showdown and they both die, like John Wick, like for 5 movies, John Wick just kicking ass, and like the
Yeah,
final battle, the wounds just get to a point which that pissed me off. I'm sorry. John Wick fell off a goddamn building, hit a trash can, hit the
yeah,
pavement, and part three and walked away fine. Like I don't understand how one bullet just takes him down, or 3 bullets take him down, but whatever. But I think I find a showdown to bring a finality to the series with him and Reyes, because Reyes is the best bad guy of the series. It's not even
yeah,
close. And for him to be studying Dom for 10 years now is that's to me that creates a formidable opponent to where he knows your every move. He knows your tendencies, he knows your strengths, your weaknesses. Like if you were to die, he'll be the perfect bad guy to die too.
yeah. Yeah, I like your ideas. I like your theories on the, Giselle having a twin or like the regenerating tissue stuff. And I like the idea of him dying too. You're right, that'd be like a cool decision. I just think that like I think he wants to do this stuff forever. I feel like whenever the Fast saga ends, like in 2 movies, you can't tell me in 5 years or 10 years they're not doing this again, right? Like, little B is gonna continue, and then, Grandpa Dom is gonna show up at some point, like, he's gonna wanna do this for the rest of his life. He's not gonna wanna take himself out of the story that he is known for. I don't think so, unless he just, like, is like, "I'm done." Like, I'll just be a producer, executive producer for the rest of my life and, cash checks that way, which maybe he'll do that, but I
Yeah,
don't know. I just think
quite
he
possible.
loves being Dom Toretto. Like
Yeah.
that's who he is. So, um, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a really entertaining movie. And I have to say before we get out of here, probably my favorite part of the movie was a part where Dom's talking to his grandmother, his abuelita. That's how you say that,
Yeah.
I guess, right? So, and
Yeah.
they're talking. They're in the garage, the family garage. He's got the charger there, looking at the stuff on the photos of Brian on the wall, and then all of a sudden you start hearing the piano version of oh, what's the song? The song by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth.
Charlie
Yeah,
Puth. Yeah.
"See You Again." They start playing that song, and I'm like, oh, they got to play the whole song. They just give us like a little sad piano version of it, and I was like, man, this movie. They know what they're doing. They're bringing that back, all the stuff, all the feelings from the movies. That song was, like, so iconic from Furious 7. The video for that song has, like, 6 billion views on YouTube, like, look it up, it's crazy.
Man, it was waterworks, man. Every time I watch Fast Seven, man, it gets to the end and when they show the montage of like Paul Walker and Vin
Yeah,
Diesel and like the cars on the same path and they spread, they kind of go their separate ways. That song is just playing in the background. I get teary eyed every single time.
Yeah. No,
It's such a he'll always be Lance from Varsity Blues for me, man. I that like I grew up watching Paul Walker, man. That was such a random death, man, and like it was one of those things where we've seen actresses pass
mm,
prematurely. But for some reason, man, like I think because I grew up with watching him over the years, I was a kid when Varsity Blues came out in '98. So James
yep.
Vanderbeek. So this is during the height of Dawson's Creek. Like I
Yep.
was in the 8th grade when I first saw Paul Walker, and I grew up watching him. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
that death fucked me up because he was so young, and he had so much life to live, man, and like it was just so unexpected. I did not see that coming, and
Yeah. And he died in a fiery car crash, like
yeah,
almost like Brian O'Connor would die or something. Like it was like and it was in like a sports car too. And
yeah,
I don't think he was driving. I think he was a passenger, but it was a, crazy like one car crash in California.
it's nuts, man, and to this day, that's the one death that's hurt me the most. When Pac got killed in '96, I was in 6th grade. I didn't quite understand what was going
Mhm.
on. I mean, I love Pac, I love his music,
Yeah.
but I didn't have context. I didn't have much understanding of like what happened when Paul passed. I understood. Like this is
Yeah.
on the heels of like Fast Seven coming out, and like they're promoting the movie at this point, and putting out a buzz, and like it's just man,
Yeah.
yeah, that was crazy, man.
I mean, Chadwick Boseman also was like very surprising. Like
Yeah, that was
that
another
was
one.
one of those ones where it's like didn't know he was even sick and now he's gone. It was just crazy. But
Yeah, Chadwick's another one too. I didn't that floored me. I think Paul floored me more because I grew up watching Paul for 20 plus years, and it just with Chadwick floored me in a different direction of like Black Panther be my favorite character growing up. So like, as far as like the comic book character, yeah,
yeah.
if because he really brought that the essence of that role to real out to real life. So yeah, those are the top two deaths for sure. Those are the two deaths that really fucked me up, and like to this day, I'm like, man, I can't believe they're gone. It's the
Mhm.
weirdest thing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But yeah, no, but just to wrap it up, See You Again, such a great song. I was glad they brought it in this movie. It's kind of, like these movies are kind of like each movie is like a Fast and Furious greatest hits, and they keep churning them out. And like we both said, man, we're ready to watch more. So I can't wait till Fast 11 or Fast 10 Part 2 or Furious 11, whatever they're gonna call it. I'm down to watch it.
You talking about See You Again? The soundtrack, the song that got me crunk like the most in that movie. They did a remake of Biggie's Notorious Thugs
Yeah.
with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like they remixed it a little bit. When that shit came on, cause you hear it in the trailers too. I'm like, oh shit, they remade Biggie. Oh shit, okay. Like that song gets me out of my seat every time I hear that version now.
Yeah, no, fat. They know what they're doing. Like the movie. Like I'm telling you, these movies. Even if you don't like these movies, like okay, like maybe the acting isn't great, the story is convoluted or whatever. Fine, the movies are entertaining. You'll never be bored. Like there's stuff happening. It's just fun to watch, and looking forward to many many more or one more. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's not up to us. But anyway, Frank, any final thoughts?
man. The ending pisses me off. I hate how it just abruptly ended.
Cliffhanger.
I,
Yeah.
I that's my only beef with that movie was the ending. But I'll be here I'll be here like a fiend waiting for Part 11 to come out. Like I'm ready, man. I mean, the cast, the action. I'm just excited for it for the next movie, and 2025 can't come here soon enough.
Yeah, we want to go fast to the future right now. We want
Right?
to check out the next one. So now you know what we think about Fast X, Fast 10, the latest movie in the Fast and Furious saga. We want to know what you think about it. The best way to do that is, well, do it like right now. Watch us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, join us in the live chat. We love to interact with people that way. But hey, if YouTube and videos are not your thing, we're also available on audio platforms. We're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. And you can also check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. We're at Watchers Basement. And be sure to use the hashtag Watchers Basement, and we'll talk with you there on social media. So and hey, if you're listening to us on podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate that stuff. It really helps us out, and we thank you. So as we're getting out of here, just want to say thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. For Frank, I'm Justin saying we'll see you next time. We'll see you again. Like as Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth would say. And yeah, have a good night. Bye-bye.